If you haven't met me, my name is Lexi Dearborn. I'm the chair of the Landscape Ontario Designer Sector Group. And I'm going to be introducing to my friend Terry, who I have known now, and I think about 20 years I've known Terry.
Yeah.
And he's I've always said that Terry and I get along really well. We think very much the same. So when I started talking to people and they were talking about permeable pavers, I thought Terry's the person to talk to you today. Is this a big topic? And it's kind of one of those things that we're just going to delve into today, get started, but you will have to do a little bit more research to to fill in some of the gaps if you're going to do some permeable. We were just talking about fusion design. So anybody here a fusion designer? So,
No, and are they gonna dump that requirement for WSIB when you're a solopreneur or
when you're a sole entrepreneur, you shouldn't
yeah,
be able to get a clearance certificate.
okay.
I would think, right? That's what I do.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're a sole proprietor, you should be able to get a clearance certificate to do it. So that should
Okay.
be okay. So part of Terry's talk today will be about fusion as well, because permeable is very much part of that fusion piece. So Terry has been designing now for, and we talked about this last year, so over 30 years, over
Yeah.
30, over 35 years.
No, but think 33, 34.
Okay.
Not that
And
old
doing
yet, Lexi.
and doing design build. So
Yeah.
not only is he designing what he's building, so he knows what clients are asking for. So that's great to have somebody talk to us about permeable for this reason. Let me introduce you to Terry Childs from Nature's Way Landscaping. And Terry, the floor is all yours.
Good afternoon. So what is permeable paving? Um, Pervious, porous paving. It's a surface system. It allows water to get through the surface, much like grass. And then it infiltrates into the ground. And we choose, with permeable surfaces, we choose the structure for it to go through, and we choose the structure that it will go into. Whether that's technically it's a partial infiltration, full infiltration. So permeable paving is is very technical, very abstract, very individual. There are certain rules because everything's governed by physics, but it's also something that can be experimented with, and we experiment all the time with permeable paving. Um, Permeable interlocking concrete pavers. So I teach this for Concrete Masonry Hardscape Association, the old ICPI. Excuse me, and it is the most common in residential and commercial landscapes. Um, it as it says, it replaces traditional interlock. It can be used on parking lots, walkways, driveways, patios, ground level raised patios. It's it's very easy to incorporate um, PICP into your designs. It's durable and easy to repair. There's no difference between the unit that are classified as permeable than regular interlock. The units are exactly the same, whether the difference is if they have spacer bars on them. The designated permeable pavers have a bigger bar on it, so the gap is wider. And it's that gap that dictates the infiltration rate of the water going through between the pavers. Um, and then your jointing material between those pavers will also affect that infiltration rate. And this is where the art comes into things. So you'll have uh, people that just want to get rid of that water as much as possible. And for that, we will use something like a number 9 stone or a 1/4 inch chip. Um, so it's a clean stone, but it's small and it will fit in the spaces between the traditional permeable pavers because they have that wider gap between the pavers. You can use traditional pavers, just traditional interlock, and for that, typically we would use something else in between. So I know people that I haven't done it, but I know people that just use regular sand in between, not polymeric sand, but just regular sand, brick sand, in between pavers or bedding sand as that jointing material. So it's totally open to what you want to use. There are actual jointing sands for permeable. Alliance Gator has one, and Romex have one, and they go on wet. They're brushed and squeegeed into place. They dry. I've never used the Romex one, but the Alliance Gator one, the Nitro, I actually saw a demonstration where someone put it into a Tim Hortons cup, let it dry, and it still had a void in the middle, but it was solid. They took the cup away, and as quickly as you could put water in it, it came out through the permeability of the hardened surface. So it works really well. This is a job we did 2 years ago. So that's natural stone. We just use bigger gap between the stones. It's on a full permeable base. We did use concrete on the sides to help prevent any lateral movement. And it's a reinforced concrete with a nylon strand in it, so it's really strong. So this patio looks just like a traditional patio. We had the nitro in there as the jointing material. So it's a full infiltration project, but it doesn't look like what everyone would think as a permeable patio.
Barry, there's a question that just says, is there a jointing material you would recommend?
Is there an edging material I'd recommend?
A jointing material that you would recommend?
Jointing. It depends on the application. So
Yeah.
I've only, out of the two that I mentioned, the Romex and the Gator, I've only used Gator. It works great. It's very expensive, and the Romex is very expensive. We've used number 9 or 1/4-inch chip a lot of times, and it's a lot less expensive, but it's also not as attractive because you will. I have it at home, so you have little bits of limestone laying on your pavers after you've weeded, that type of thing. So the maintenance is a little bit more because with the clean stone you will get weeds germinating. It's hard with the Gator and the Romex products. It's much easier to keep it clean. But again, it depends on the application. So this screen here, it's just a regular large slab on a full infiltration base. And again, we use the nitro in there for the jointing material, so the water just flows right through. This is actually where I'm taking the picture. Behind me is Lake Ontario or the St. Lawrence River. So the water just goes right down and goes right back into the river. And as you can see, it doesn't look like the stereotypical permeable pavement. It just looks like a nice patio.
What base did you set that on?
It's on a either 3/4-inch or 7/8 clean limestone.
Okay.
So it's a clear base. There's no fines in it.
Yeah.
This one is we actually just as an aside, we did a little patio behind this house. The St. Lawrence River is behind this house. It's a different property. And again, it's a full permeable patio. It's about 30 feet long, 5 feet deep. It's flagstone, again, with a permeable jointing material between the slabs. So when the water washes up, it just goes right back into the river because with the height of the water right now, it is lapping over and the client knows this, where there may be an issue is that jointing material may get washed out. Flagstone won't go anywhere, but it may need to be reapplied. So this is the front of the house. So this is, I believe these are Villaggio pavers from Teco Block. So this slopes away towards where I'm taking the picture from the garage, and then it slopes from the road to where these pavers roughly end. So it dips in the middle, and we actually have a drainage channel in the middle that runs to the right, as we're looking at it, that then goes into a dry stream bed that runs into the river if we ever get too much water. But again, it's designed with a full infiltration base, but there is that extra if we get too much water in there. So that is clean stone, 3/4 inch clean stone. And then the darkest stone is the equivalent of HPB, which is a 1/4 inch chip. And that's what we bed the pavers on. And then we almost doubled the price with using the Gator base, or the nitro in the as the jointing material in this. But I was talking to the client yesterday, and they're just ecstatic with everything. And again, it's all traditional. And as of I think a month ago, CMHA, the old ICPI, is now okay with permeable bases, with clean stone being used as a base under traditional interlock. So they spent 3 years studying. They have case studies to show that the base holds up under traditional paving. So then you just put regular polymeric sand in. You would end up with a permeable base, but the water wouldn't be going through the paver joints. But it does allow that continuation of any water underground, any moisture, it just goes right through. And it also makes the job quicker and cheaper. So you doing a clean stone base is quicker for us, and it costs less. We're able to charge the clients more because for some reason everyone thinks permeable bases are a lot more expensive. There's no compaction needed. There's just settlement of the stones. And so for whatever reason, people have this idea that permeable is really expensive. It actually makes us money.
So do you find that it is actually cheaper for you to put this down?
Oh,
than
yes.
to go traditional compacted base,
Yes.
bedding sand, compaction, and then, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So
this is going down. This is going down on like an HPB.
So this is bedded on a HPB, or the equivalent of a HPB. HPB's a trade name.
Yeah.
So it's bedded on 1/4 inch chip.
Yeah.
So this is a sideways view looking down as we're going up towards the front door of the driveway. So yeah, when you're installing it, clean stone doesn't have to be compacted. It just needs to be settled. So you run the compactor over because it just needs to settle it in place. But it's almost fully compacted when you dump it. So it really does save a lot of time. So there's another product, Pervious Concrete, which is a concrete mixed with little or no sand. So that way there's voids in there. The water goes through it very easily. It's great for sidewalks. I've put down here low traffic areas because that's what they say. I prefer to say no traffic areas because it really doesn't have a lot of strength. It's much lower than regular concrete. I believe it was Credit Valley used it and had some problems with it. I was at a demonstration that Lafarge put on about 15 years ago as they were developing their pervious concrete mix. And their concerns at the time were was driving on it because of that low compressive strength, but they hadn't really utilized it in the field. The Conservation Authority, they had problems with it cracking when the 3/4 ton snowplows went over it in the winter because it doesn't have a lot of compressive strength. But again, it's as easy to lay as as concrete. So if you're doing a patio or something like that, it works well. So that's an actual picture of water going right through pervious concrete. It does a good job, but it doesn't have a lot of strength. Porous asphalt, again, it's very similar. There's a lot less of the fines, a lot less of the binding material. So the tar that's in there that binds everything together. And because you have to remove something to allow for that movement of water through. So when we replace a traditional base with clean stone, like a 7/8 clean stone, we've removed everything underneath that size. So if you're looking at granular A and you put it in a sieve, as you go through those sieves, as the mesh gets finer, you will have less and less materials going through until you get down to the fines. All of those materials, when everything's put together and you compact granular A, it's almost waterproof. Like, it will shed quicker than it will allow water to go through it. So we take all of those fines out of different sizes. We allow the water to go right through the base. So they have to do the same with porous asphalt, because they're not. It's with porous asphalt and porous concrete, the water isn't going through joints. So with interlock, with permeable interlock, as I'd said earlier, the stones are exactly the same. So the exact same compressive strength and everything else. It's the joints that allow that water through. So to increase your infiltration rate, you have a wider joint and you have a more open graded jointing material. With porous asphalt and pervious concrete, there are no joints. So it actually has to go through the material itself, the body, which means that the asphalt and the concrete cannot be as hard as it is in its traditional sense. And both asphalt and concrete have to go on the same base as interlock. Same depth. There is no changes other than the final hopping.
Let me just ask you a quick question about that. So if you're looking at putting a base down for a driveway with a permeable paver, we're still looking at 12 inches of excavation minimum?
It depends on where you are and how you're doing it.
Okay.
So I don't like to use product placement, but there's a triaxial grid that's made by Unilock. You can get a regular triaxial grid as well. It's just easier for us to get it from Unilock.
Right.
That allows you to put about an 8-inch base in a driveway. Okay. And what that does is that triaxial grid stops a lot of the depressions and movement of anything that you get with your traditional base. So normally we would do anywhere from a 12 to an 18-inch, maybe deeper base for a driveway. We'll spend the extra money and we'll get a triaxial grid on there, and then we can do it with a traditional depth of base. We would have to do that with asphalt, concrete, or interlock. That process is exactly the same.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So here's two examples of permeable asphalt and permeable concrete. Maybe it's the designer in me, but they both look like shit. There's nothing aesthetically pleasing about either of them. I have a client in Gananoque. Rex is a super nice guy. He's in his mid-90s. He got ripped off last year, year before last. So a nice gentleman knocked on his door and convinced him to get his driveway repaved. These nice gentlemen were going all over Eastern Ontario, providing this same great service. And what they gave him is what their asphalt on the left looks like. And it looks awful, because what it is, asphalt comes in two sizes. This is basically the base layer. And then you put another layer of asphalt on top, which only has stone dust in it, and the bindings. So it's a much smoother finish. So although it wasn't porous asphalt or a pervious asphalt, it looked like that. So all you see are the big stones. And it just, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't look right. And when you consider that what we're doing is just making a place for people to live so much nicer, so much more practical. There's no way that you can do any repairs here with either of these. If there's a problem with a water pipe underneath, you have to cut it. You can't lift some pavers and do your excavation and put everything back complete. But it's an option, and some people will use it. Another option is a grid or grass pavers, which are basically the big blocks that you can grow grass in, or you can put gravel in them. I think there's a picture coming up. We used the grid at that driveway with 3/4 inch clean stone in it on a regular permeable base for overflow parking. So it just looks like a nice Riverstone area on the other side of the driveway, but you can park on it. There's no issues with mud or anything else. So these do work. I do have some friends that have put in the big concrete box that have the void and planted it. They've had no issue when it's used occasionally and it's irrigated. They've got projects that aren't irrigated and the grass doesn't grow very well. If it's partial shade or especially afternoon shade, you'll get a much better growth of grass because that concrete will absorb the heat from the sun and that will bake the soil and your grass won't grow very well. But again, it's something that's used, low use areas, overflow parking, shaded areas. It's another tool in the toolbox for us to use. This is the grid at the side of the driveway. I thought there was another picture coming in. So again, it's fully permeable. It's fully able to have whatever vehicle they want parking on it, but it cuts down on the hard surface look of the area. Everything's hard surface there, but everything's 100% permeable. And as of yet, no one has seen any water come out into the dry riverbed at the side of the house.
Terry, can you tell me what grid system that was? Sorry, it's hard to find good grid.
I believe that was Unilock. I think Unilock have a grid.
Okay.
So I believe that was theirs.
Thank you. It's hard to find a good grid system.
Paul Dornbosch from Thornbush uses the one from Han Plastics.
Okay.
And I forget the name of it, but I know he's used it on a couple of quite large projects and been happy with it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
So again, these are pictures stolen from I think Deco Block. I really do like that house. And again, this is a permeable option. To make it permeable, it has to be on a gravel base. And then you put the soil in and you put the grass in. So you are limiting the ability for the grass to grow correctly. But again, if you set it up right, you're good to go. Theoretically, the grass in this could be synthetic. You would remain permeable. It would be finicky, but it's possible. So again, this is, as long as you know the principles, experiment.
Can I ask how that's going to handle if you put a synthetic in there? Is it snowblower worthy since we're all in snowblower area?
It should be because you'd have to be fastening the synthetic down.
Yeah.
So you'd be stapling it down anyway. That's why it's
Right.
finicky.
Yeah.
So yes, it should be snowblower friendly. Um, or it'll definitely be snow shovel friendly, which younger people would relish because it's good exercise. Or you could just move somewhere where it doesn't snow, like BC. Um, Optional extras that aren't usually thought about: uh, flagstone. Um, it's again, everything that we do. We're doing a project next week. We did a patio last year, a fully permeable base, but not a top. We're doing a continuation of the walkway out to the driveway next week. And again, it'll be on a 3/4 inch or 7/8 clean limestone base with a 1/4 inch chip bedding layer. We are putting the same stone as a patio in front of their shed, their garden shed, and it will be on granular A because we actually have to have it raised above grade. Clean stone has to be fully encased because there's nothing to stop it moving. That you have to fully encase it. As soon as you come above grade, you have to use the granular A. And then that way you can have the sides sloping out, that will hold it in, and then you can bring in mulch or soil or whatever or something to dress it up. So again, it's the base that's creating the permeability. And if you look at the numbers, it is cheaper to use a permeable base, a 7/8 or a 3/4 inch clean stone base. Um, Another option is resin bound um, driveways, walkways, patios. It's extremely common in the UK and it's getting more and more common almost daily because it works so well. Traditionally in England, and anyone that's gone to England has probably seen it, but anyone that's watched any movies, they have gravel driveways, like Riverstone, 1/4 inch, 3/4 inch pea stone driveways. It's very common in the UK or other stones that are decorative. Um, what used to happen with that is, especially in residential areas, you'll have a sidewalk going in front of everyone's house. You'll have this driveway that has, let's say, 1/2 inch clean stone as the driveway topping. Every time a vehicle comes out, it brings some of that stone out. So, every time I'm in England, I'm walking down streets with Riverstone on the sidewalk. So they came up with, whoever came up with it, binding it in resin. So what they do is it now comes in kits, in bags. You have the stone in bags, you put it into a concrete mixer, cement mixer, you mix in the resin, it all gets mixed up. You'll typically have a large, they don't use granular A, they use what's called hardcore, which will have 1 inch pieces of gravel going down to fines. So they'll put that down, they'll compact that to whatever grade they want. They'll typically put a mesh, a geogrid on top. Then they'll tip their resin bound stones on top. And then they'll use it, depending on the size of it, they'll use a hand trowel or a power trowel to smooth that off and to level it. And it works really well. It's being used over here. I'm almost positive Romex have a resin product, but it is starting to be used in Ontario anyway. I don't know how well it's going to hold up to our winters. Interlock is designed to move up and down, and in the spring it'll settle back to where it should be. With a solid surface like asphalt or concrete, if you get that movement, you'll get a crack, and that crack is permanent. With a resin bound finish, if we get that movement, we're going to get some cracks. The pieces are going to separate. So I don't know how well it's going to hold together. But again, depending on the size, depending on how you set it up, it might be something that you want to use. But we're turning something that is permeable but solid with asphalt, concrete, and resin-bound products. They're permeable, the water goes through, but they're designed to act as a single layer, single unit. So as soon as we get ground movement, which we do, we don't know how well a resin-bound driveway or patio will work out.
Well, Samantha just had a comment about, Samantha, do you not want to just tell us what happened with your client? It just, because she's just was talking about it today. So there we go.
Yeah, I went and visited a client earlier today, and we'd done the resin-bound pea gravel in her backyard. We did it between a few larger pavers along the edge of her pool, actually, as like into an infiltration pit. But then we also did a larger area that was probably like 2 feet wide by 10 feet long along the side of her house. And we have found that in the winter it has had some movement, unfortunately. And she doesn't mind resealing like the strips between the slabs that we put down, but for like the big area, she's like, I don't want to do this every year. So yeah.
Interesting, eh?
Yeah, and that's my concern is what will happen. So for that, is it possible just to use pea stone there without any resin?
We could, but she has a dog, so she didn't want like the stones everywhere in her pool. And stuff.
Okay.
So that's why we went with the resin.
I have a couple of clients who have dogs, and we use the 1 to 2 inch Riverstone because that way it's solid for the dogs, but they can also pee and poop on it, and it's easy to clean up.
Yeah.
So that might be another option. So this is a resin-bound driveway from the UK. So you can see you can be really creative with it. You know, you can have sailor soldier course edges. You could have a different color resin. You could have this has, I believe it's a sailor course of interlock, and then there's a course of a lighter colored stone, and then the main body. So you can be creative with it, but again, my concern is its ability to withstand the frost movement.
Oh, someone just had a question about Pure Pave.
About who?
And I have used Pure Pave. Have you used Pure Pave before? Yeah, I think it's Pure Paver.
Yes, yeah, because the paver itself is permeable.
Is it Martina who? Someone's asking. Martine, are you asking about the Pure Pave?
Yes, I am. Thank you. Thank you, Lexi.
So, are you thinking of Pure Pave or Pure Paver?
Well, Pure Pave is this resin-bound gravel system, and apparently has been tested by the National Research Council and the University of Ottawa here in this area. But I'd like to know designer, landscaper experience apart from what they claim. Has anybody put it in and found?
No, I haven't.
So that's what Samantha would have used. It may not have been Pure Pave, but it's like a resin-bound stone. Just because something has been tested by the National Research Council doesn't mean anything, because you can pay them to test anything. But have they shown you the results?
I think so.
Okay. So it may work. Those would be my concerns, is the frost movement. But check with the supplier, the salesperson for the supplier, and find out what the Research Council said and where it was tested. It may have been they have the labs in Ottawa, and they may have tested it inside, but maybe not outside, or they may have tested it outside somewhere else, because Ottawa does get some nasty frost movement. But definitely check with the supplier and see what kind of guarantee they use. I know the first time I used Gator Base, the thin polyurethane base. It was for a 15 by 15 patio, and I was able to get a commitment that if we got movement in the first few years, they would pay me to remove it and do it the traditional way. It never moved. It still hasn't moved. Pam from Simply Landscaping has it in her back. That's what her patio's on. As far as I know, it still hasn't moved, and it's been years. But again, check with the manufacturer and see what they say. And if you have concerns, see if they can, you know, give you that reassurance that you would need. This picture is permeable flagstone. It's only permeable because, again, it's not the materials that we use in. The flagstone itself won't let the water through, but the gaps in between. And this is just 3/4 inch clear stone. As a base, we put a 10 mil bedding layer on it. We put the flagstone on, and then we put 3/4 inch river stone to provide the joints. And it's awesome. This is the old bottom of a pool. We actually ran a couple of 4-inch drainage pipes off of it. If it was keeping the water in there, but it's worked great for the last 3 years now, and looks good. So commonalities: base material. The base must be a permeable base, and the size of that aggregate depends on the use of the surface. So if it's a small area, you can use HPB, a 1/4 inch chip. You can use a 10 mil. Once we start getting into vehicle traffic and that type of thing, we need to go to a 3/4 inch or 7/8. Infiltration options: full infiltration, which is where the any water going through the joints will actually go into the soil after it's sat in that void, which is the base. And then there's partial and non-infiltration options. So, sorry, it was October of 2025 that CMHA is allowing the use of open graded base under non-permeable pavers. And there again, they have a under drain to take any extra water out if it doesn't go into the subgrade. This is full infiltration. So again, there's no drainage pipe in this one. And the water is just to go into the subgrade. If you are doing this, if you're trying to infiltrate, do not compact the subbase, which is what I'm telling people to do if they're doing interlock. Compact the subbase. If you're doing infiltration, don't compact it unless you're in sand, which you can't compact anyway. But as soon as you compact that clay layer, you've just created a flower pot, and the water will not go out. We have to remember, permeable is not for everywhere. So key benefits: reduces runoff and flooding, improves water quality because it really does filter pollutants. And not just what we've created, but the fact that we're putting it into our base and then it goes into the sub-base is what really improves the water quality. Recharges the groundwater, helps reduce municipal stormwater stress, and commercial projects, you can get LEED credits. Why it matters: urban flooding issues, stormwater management, environmental protection. There is a subdivision, I believe it's in Credit Valley Conservation area. The developer was allowed to not have a big drainage pond because he was going to put a permeable driveway on every property, which then allowed him to use that space for the stormwater pond, put more houses, which made him a ton more money even after putting in all the permeable driveways. So again, it's thinking outside the box. It's something that when interlock was first done, it was a semi-permeable base just because it was smaller pieces of rock that were broken up before they put the bigger pieces of rock on it. So, it's not brand new, but we're adapting all the time. And as designers, the one thing that we have that a lot of other people don't have is an imagination. and it's utilizing that imagination. So as Samantha did, she had several areas of the resin bound, and it's working in some, and it's not working in others. And if you do you do your designs, you work out the pros and cons of doing things. This is what we need to do with permeable. Environmental protection. What permeable pavements are doing is really making a difference in environmental protection. Key disadvantages of permeable pavement. I forget where I got this quote from, but installation is 50 to 100% higher than conventional paving due to specialized materials. When I teach the permeable course for CMHA, I teach a commercial course. That cost for a commercial, if I did a commercial project, it's probably going to be 20 to 30% higher than traditional. Only because when I'm doing it, I have to keep all the materials separate. I have to keep them clean. I have to put any of my gravels on a clean geotextile so they don't get contaminated. I can't allow any contaminated materials on top of the base. The specifications are very stringent on bringing any kind of organic material in, any kind of clay, any kind of non-pervious materials in, because they want to keep it as clean as they can. So staging becomes more expensive. The processing itself becomes more expensive. But that's not for what the majority of us are doing. We're doing driveways, walkways. It's mostly residential. And even commercial, we can do commercial if it's smaller areas where we don't have the expense that you would have in a traditional municipal permeable project, because they want to keep it as clean as possible, and we don't need to. Maintenance requirements of permeable pavement are quite different. It's prone to clogging. Yes, it is. Again, depending on how you finish it, my permeable patio at home has 1/4-inch chip in it. I'll use a pressure washer and I'll blow it all out. And eventually, because I blow it onto the lawn, and then I rake it in the lawn, and it just goes into the soil, which is where it came from originally. And I don't have big piles of it. And then I'll put more stone in there, because you will get leaves break down, dust gets in there. You can vacuum. You can use a shop vac to suck out the gravel and the pollutants that are there in that the jointing material. And commercial vacuums for larger areas. So I know a lot of conservation authorities and municipalities will have the commercial vacuum go through and suck everything up. And that really does keep it clean. You just have to reinstall that jointing material in there. So it is a negative, but we also have weeds growing in interlock because people aren't keeping the interlock maintained properly. The number of clients that I get say, well, make sure you put that plastic stuff underneath so the weeds don't grow up through. Well, it's the weeds growing down that the problem, not weeds coming up. So both options, permeable and non-permeable interlock, have maintenance. It's a fact of life. We have maintenance. I used to say we can put plastic flowers in to reduce your maintenance or to stop maintenance. I had to change that to reduce, because even plastic flowers apparently have to be dusted occasionally. But I'm a man, so I don't see dust. Restorative maintenance. Again, it's something that can be a problem if we're not doing maintenance. But again, it's no different than anything else. If we're not looking after things, the need and the cost of that maintenance is going to increase. Some best practices: proper design, quality installation, regular maintenance. Oh, we do this anyway, or we should, with everything else that we do. whether it be a deck, a driveway, we should be doing all of that. Future trends, green infrastructure growth, policy support, material innovations, materials are changing all the time. Municipalities are getting on board with fusion. City of Toronto just announced that they are on board with fusion. There is, and I don't have all the definitive numbers, a $500 credit for a homeowner to get a fusion design done. There's supposed to be another $500 for something else. So money is being put in. I'm still waiting on Courtney from Landscape Ontario to get all the information out there. But the city of Ottawa is subsidizing. I believe Durham is doing some subsidizing. So it is something that the municipalities are starting to understand. I don't think it will be long before insurance companies start to do the same thing. Because if we can put permeable or fusion elements in places, then we're mitigating flooding issues and other things. So it's definitely something that is becoming important. If you're able to take a screenshot of this, the Sustainable Technologies website has all sorts of answers in there, from simple to very complex. It's when you do fusion, this is what we work off. So if you're doing the fusion course, it's this website that has everything on it. It has all sorts of information. I know Landscape Ontario will be offering Fusion 1, 2, and 3 this coming fall and winter. Whether 1 and 2 are free again will depend on funding from the provincial government. We still haven't heard yet whether we have the money coming in that we had for the last few years. So again, Courtney's hopeful that we'll get it, but we'll see. But that website will give you a lot of insight. And that's it from me.
Ottawa does offer a $500 rebate for design if you're a fusion practitioner. Get fusionized. Everybody enjoy their afternoon, and I hope you picked up a few great tips to move forward with.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for joining us.